Information is power, and those who have it can change reality itself. In a world where we're constantly connected, what would happen if suddenly the internet just went away? This is not just a hypothetical scenario. This is a very real possibility. From natural disasters to deliberate shutdowns by governments, there are thousands of instances where entire regions of the modern world have been cut off from the digital world. And the impact is immediate and far-reaching, affecting everything from communication and commerce to emergency services and education. But it's about more than inconvenience. It's about power. Governments and corporations wield immense control over the flow of information online. From censorship to surveillance, our dependency on the internet has created vulnerabilities that can and will be exploited. Over 750 intentional internet shutdowns have occurred in the past 8 years alone. There is, of course, the Great Firewall of China, which completely suppresses an individual's online freedom to information and education, anything that may go against the communist regime. India leads the world in targeted shutdowns, using the on-off switch for the internet around election times and civil unrest to suppress political dissent. Uganda, Congo, Jordan, Myanmar, Cuba all shut down the internet to silence political unrest and control elections. And if you think that can't happen here in the West, what happens when natural disaster wipes out entire communication infrastructure? What happens when the economy absolutely tanks, the dollar is worth nothing, and everyone who would normally show up to work at an internet service provider disappears because why show up to work for a dollar that means nothing, and it begins to slowly deteriorate? Or what happens when anyone who lives a traditional, freedom-loving lifestyle is automatically targeted by a weaponized DOJ and deemed a domestic terrorist? You do not own the information that your entire life revolves around, but you can start to change that. Your information, education, your culture, your entertainment, it can be yours again. And here's how. A while back, I bought a Gridbase Pocket, which is basically a mini decentralized internet that works when there is no grid, when there is no cell service, no internet. It works. You have the internet in your back pocket. It comes preloaded with hundreds of Wikipedia pages, 50,000 or more books and novels, medical journals, mechanical how-to guides, and all sorts of field manuals and survival information. It has its own mini Wi-Fi, so any smartphone or laptop or computer can connect to it and access the data and navigate it just like a website, complete with searchable links, clickable links, videos, music, you name it. Now, while this device is super cool, it actually did something way more incredible for me. Between playing around with the Pocket and talking to its creator, Jake from Gridbase, it really opened my eyes to just how susceptible we are to having our information stripped from us. We rely solely on the internet to direct our lives. We go there for information, we look up DIY projects on YouTube, we look up how to fix our car, we look up on WebMD, what are the symptoms of this and which medicine should I take? Is this worth going to the doctor or not? We rely on it and we don't own any of that data. You could have a field manual or a whole stack of them, but what happens when you have to leave a place? Are you gonna pack all that stuff with you? No, you can't. But something like a little Pocket, you can take with you, you can throw in your bag, and it's super easy to bring this information with you anywhere in the world. This whole idea of starting to own our information, even the pictures that we keep of our family and of our friends, it's all on a cloud somewhere. What happens when that goes away and you can't access that anymore? What about the movies that you have on your Plex server and all the music you have? It goes away just like that. And that's an important thing to think about, because when we talk about the internet shutting down and not having access to all those things, it goes beyond just the information and the data and the history and everything that's lost. Much of what makes us human is the ability to understand information and also be entertained. People like to poo-poo on entertainment all the time, but if you think about what makes us human, what separates us from animals, it's art, it's culture. Those are the things that breathe life into everything that we do. If you didn't have music, if you didn't have TV, if you didn't have shows or movies or video games even, just think about how different life would feel. Now, some of us are old enough to remember what it was like before the internet. I remember getting my first computer whenever I was like 8 or 9 years old, and then a couple of years after that, we got the internet, 56K modem, and I could send emails, but that was it. Life was very much different back then, and that's the life that we would all go to if we were stripped of the internet. This video is not about tech. This video is about owning your information that cannot be taken from you and that is in your control. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. There are some digital ways and there are some non-digital ways. We're gonna talk about both, but first let's hop into the Pocket, because for me, this is what really lit that fire in me to start collecting my own information for when I can't just access it on the internet anymore. So let's take a look at Pocket.
Oh my God, they're coming to get us. You're on a list, we're all on a list. They don't want this information out there. They like to control the narrative. Now listen, I've got the dossier right here. They're turning the frogs gay, we're next. So you need to know this. Content like this, not possible for free without sponsors. We've got a couple of them today. Number one, Steel Industries. Best night vision out there, best customer service in the game. Link in the description for 5% off on non-sale items. Check it out. Also, you're gonna want a weapon light or a handheld light. Mod light has been our go-to for years. High candela, high lumen, high performance. Only the best. If my supplements were in a light, it would be Mod light. Also 100 concepts. Now the government has 100 million concepts on how to control us as Americans. But today we want to talk about scope caps and kill flashes. They make the best in the game, clip right on. Also SDI, Super Decentralized Internet. Sonoran Desert Institute. If you want to learn how to service your own rifles and build your own things, check them out. They're a great educational resource, and all these people make content like this for you guys free. Check them out.
It's pretty cool. You can order these online and it comes in a simple little case like this, which is waterproof. When you open it up, it comes with a little Pocket Bible. It comes from Gridbase. They should change their name to Grid-based. Dad joke. When you flip it open, it automatically, the middle line goes to John 3:16. Again, based. Well done, Jake from Gridbase. But inside is a simple chip with a battery attached to it. It has a 4-hour battery life when it's active. It has a 12-hour battery life when it's not being used. And you can recharge it in about 30 minutes. So it's a pretty incredible little piece of tech. You simply turn on the battery, you'll get a little blue light, and then you can use your smartphone or your computer or a tablet to connect to its Wi-Fi signal. All right, so Pocket is powered on. I'm gonna take my smartphone and I'm gonna put it into airplane mode, just so we don't have any signal whatsoever. But we are down here in this cellar where we basically don't have signal anyway, so it works out great. I'm gonna open up the Wi-Fi and Pocket will come up. I choose Pocket, it connects, and this automatically comes up. Got it, Pocket.hotspot. We'll open it in Safari, but it works on Chrome also. So right here, we have a web page with tons of buttons of different topics that come preloaded with thousands and thousands of articles and information. It is its own mini library. Now this works great on a smartphone, works with both iPhone and Android, but we're gonna throw this up on the laptop screen just so you guys can kind of see the navigation a little bit easier. Now computers don't typically have cell service, so there's no airplane mode. You just turn your Wi-Fi on and off. So with Pocket, you'll want your Wi-Fi to be on. You will come down and click on the Pocket network. You'll get a pop-up. You can copy this to clipboard if you want to, or you can just hit got it. Go to Pocket.hotspot. That's what you would type in if you wanted to actually navigate to this. And boom, you have your library at your disposal. Information on the Pocket is separated into 3 different types, kind of. You have massive forums that are all searchable with all kinds of Q&As in them. You also have a massive list of PDFs and manuals and journals and documents. And you also have Wikipedia. Yes, pretty much all of Wikipedia that you navigate just like you do right now on the internet, just by clicking links, and it takes you to all the different places in Wikipedia. So let's look through a couple of these like really cool ones, the ones that I think are super interesting and fun. This one's actually pretty neat, the Apocalypse Survival Guide. You can click on that and yes, you get videos. There are TED Talks and preloaded videos on here that you can watch with good clarity, good quality, and sound about how we can make crops survive without water. Creative houses, how to make a house out of just like random scrap that you find. Let's click on how to make crops survive without water. Boom.
Billion. And it's estimated that by 2050, we'll be between 9 and 10 billion people.
pretty incredible already. Comes preloaded with lots of TED Talks. For those of you like me who are terrible at tying knots, so you just end up having to tie a bunch of bad knots as opposed to one good knot, it has an encyclopedia of knots and also how knots you would need to know when you go fishing, a handbook of knots and splices, tons of PDF documents on all of this stuff, pioneering knots and lashings. But let's just go here to Encyclopedia of Knots. Right here it pulls up a PDF. And as you know with PDF readers, you can just do a search and find whatever you need. You have a table of contents, basic knot tying complete with pictures, demonstrations, knot security, the two-handed technique, the one-hand technique. Another cool one that I found, and I actually never heard of this guy before, was Canadian Prepper. His entire YouTube library is on here, and he's got a ton of really good information on here. There's some fun stuff too, because it's, YouTube is education and entertainment, the perfect blend of both. So there's some really, really awesome stuff on here. How to survive violent mobs, right? And
every Hollywood depiction of the societal collapse, one of the quintessential.
Again, information at your fingertips anywhere in the world. The medical library is quite advanced. It's got a lot of really great PDFs and official journals and field manuals for medical emergencies. You have emergency war surgery, which you probably would never really want to do, but it's chock full with a ton of great basic information as well. You can click on that, scroll down to the table of contents, and it's got some information on epidemiology, mechanism of injury, anti-personnel landmines, small arms, and the injuries that you would incur from those things and how to treat them and how to take care of those. It's also got airway and breathing, initial management, hemorrhage control, stop the bleed, tourniquet procedures, things that you may know, but again, think beyond you. When we're talking about owning the information, this is information that we would also want passed down to our kids. And if the internet is not available to them, like it wasn't available to some of us growing up, that was only 20, 30 years ago that the internet was not accessible to a lot of us guys. So we could very easily be back in that day and age anytime. Ocular injuries, what to do if that happens, the triage, how to deal with it. Most of this stuff, a lot of us still don't even know. So it's already a valuable resource in that, hey, this comes preloaded with stuff that a lot of people put time and effort into curating for you because it is great, vital knowledge to have now. So that's kind of cool. It whittles down what you need to know and what you should know today. So you don't have to go and hunt for it or brainstorm on what should I know. Well, it's all kind of here for you to get you started. Okay, this is one of the best ones, Post-Disaster Resource Library. We click into that and you have incredible PDFs that do way more in terms of conveying knowledge than we can ever do on this YouTube channel or any YouTube channel. 3 days emergency preparedness, which most people don't even have. You can click on that, practical emergency preparedness, recommended steps to developing your own plan, thinking for yourself, making your own plan. And you have a ton of information here. Definitions, what a bug out, what the terminology means, but then when you actually get down into it, examples of things that you should have readily available. Water purification, another big one and a topic we're getting ready to tackle here very soon with Canaan Provisions. Different ways to purify and treat your water if you don't really know what you're doing. The U.S. Marine Corps Summer Survival Course. This one is rad. This has this is a great document. And you can buy this. You can actually have the physical copy of this, and we'll get into that later, but it's nice to have it just here on this Pocket. So within the PDF and within any of these pages, you can still use your Control-F find tool within your browser because it works within a browser. So let's type in water and see what information we can find out about water filtration. Water filter. Boom, right there. Pulls up a diagram and information on how to create your own water filter with just the stuff around you in the field. Again, this is not revolutionary information, but it's stuff that has been lost to time because it has not been taught, because modern conveniences have made it kind of archaic. But this is stuff that is valuable information to have and that you would want to pass down to your kids. They also have the USMC Winter Survival Course. Let's look up how to make a snow wall to protect yourself from the elements if you're out in it. Snow wall, Boom, man-made shelters and descriptions on each one. Snow wall, extremely expedient shelter for 1 or 2 men, and then it shows you how to build it and what it should look like. There are dozens and dozens and dozens of documents just like this. Another YouTube channel, Urban Prepper. This one's cool. Has a lot of really interesting videos that you can watch. Again, comes preloaded on here. I think there's over 300 gigabytes of information on this. This is a great resource to get you started. And a great resource where if you do have to leave and you can't bring your massive library with you, well, you have it. Speaking of libraries, it also comes preloaded with the Project Gutenberg, which if you guys don't know is a massive repository of novels and books. There's over 60,000 free books, and a lot of these are very, very popular books that are kind of important to Western culture. But you have like Romeo and Juliet, Little Women, Moby Dick, and it has a search feature. So you could look up any author you're interested in, and you can access Project Gutenberg right now. So hop online, check that out, see what all authors and books are on there. Pride and Prejudice, The Great Gatsby, Picture of Dorian Gray, Great Expectations, Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, The Scarlet Letter, Dracula, A Tale of Two Cities. It's got Charles Dickens, Oscar Wilde, Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad, The Count of Monte Cristo Illustrated, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Don Quixote, The Iliad, Crime and Punishment, Grimm's Fairy Tales. And the cool part is any of these books or any of these journals or PDFs or Wikipedia pages, you can download to your phone and just print wirelessly from your phone to your printer. Again, there's also Wikipedia. So we'll click down here on Wikipedia and it's organized by arts, geography, history, sciences, society, sports, technology. Let's choose ancient Rome because there's a lot of parallels there, right? And you get the Wikipedia page, which comes with all of the links. So if I want to see what assimilation means, I can click on that and it will talk about the Romanization, the cultural Romanization of things and how the Romans brought in new cultures and how it affected, well, Rome. For geography, we can click on North America and you have, I mean, I can just, fry your brain here for a second. Just tons of information and resources, all with clickable links that you can follow through Wikipedia, but it's all offline. It's all in your pocket, no pun intended. In talking with Jake about Gridbase and the Pocket and the future plans for it, I asked him, how are people currently utilizing Pocket beyond it just being something that you put in your go bag, right? And there's a lot of people around the world who are using this in interesting ways. One thing is in Canada right now, Google is kind of banned, and a lot of people in Canada are using this in conjunction with VPNs to skirt around the controlled information that the government has placed on the internet right now. Also, these are great for missionaries. There's a lot of missionaries who live throughout the world that have no internet service whatsoever, and it's a great cache of information and entertainment and culture for them to use and share with those around them. Also, guys who work in diving bells use this stuff to entertain them and to learn and to continue their education while they are not off-grid, but I guess under-grid. So use your own imagination what something like this can do for you. I think it was only about 250 bucks. We paid full price just like everybody else because we believe in the product. This is not an ad for Pocket or anything like that. This is just a great piece of tech and an incredible tool, so long as you have electricity. So let's talk about power for a second, because anything that is digital is going to require power. So along with this, you should have external batteries that you can recharge it with. Again, only 30-minute recharge time. Ideally, you have some sort of solar option that can recharge those batteries, or if you are very financially, astute, you have a solar generator of some sort that is renewable energy that you can use to power and refuel those batteries to refuel something like a Pocket or your laptop or your smartphone. So any scenario that involves things going down, you are going to need energy, and if that isn't a priority yet, you need to be thinking about it and budgeting accordingly. Also, tons of extra cables to connect your phone to your computer, to connect the external batteries to your phone, to the Pocket, to your computer, because those cables wear out all the time. I can't tell you how many iPhone cables I've had to buy in the past 10 years just because they go out super fast when you use them a lot. So plenty of extra cables, plenty of extra batteries, and some sort of solar charging option is going to be a must. There are a lot of other things to think about though whenever it comes to building up your own information cache, both digital and non-digital assets. The truth is while Pocket is a nice shortcut, you don't have to go that route. You can go ahead and start storing your information on flash drives, SSDs, hard drives. I've done all those things. I have numerous SSDs with all kinds of files, PDFs, documents, family photos, movies, video games, books, comics, you name it. When it comes to the digital assets, having a laptop with a DVD drive, long battery life, and a replaceable battery is going to help you a lot in the long run. And if you are worried about EMPs, which I'm not super worried about, though I see it all the time in the comments, well, what if an EMP hits and you can't use that? Like, yeah, we're gonna have some major problems beyond just powering a laptop if that were to happen. But you can get Faraday bags to put all of your valuable electronic assets into just to make sure you're good to go. Also, start looking for DVDs of some of your favorite movies. And when I say favorite movies, think about movies that capture the feeling of a time period or of a culture or teach a valuable lesson. You know, as my daughters grow up, I could give them textbooks and I could tell them stories and I could read to them, but nothing is as impactful as showing them The Patriot, right? Movies like that, or Testament of Youth, Children of Men, the John Adams miniseries, Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049, Saving Private Ryan, Band of Brothers, 1917, Black Hawk Down, 13 Hours, Platoon, Full Metal Jacket. Film captures culture in a unique way, in a way that books can't always communicate. And though they may not be 100% historically accurate, find the ones and start downloading and storing or buying the DVDs of ones that made an impact on your life and that you think communicate accurately the feeling of the culture at the time. It's history. Also think about all the appliances in your house or even your vehicles, your cars, your trucks. Anything that could go wrong with them, what are you going to do? You're going to hop on YouTube and try and diagnose what's going on and how to fix it yourself. Well, you can go ahead and rip those videos off of YouTube, put them on a flash drive, and you have them forever. Now, my FJ Cruiser's probably not going to be found on that Pocket device, but I can absolutely go onto YouTube, hop onto TubeRipper or my 4K video downloader and immediately put it into a file, throw it into a flash drive, toss that into a Faraday bag with the laptop, and boom, I've got it. Also homeschooling curriculum, because let's face it, public schools suck. They're awful these days. Now there's still some great teachers and there's still some good schools, but being able to educate your kids and in some cases having to educate yourself before you can educate your kids is really important. So download free homeschool curriculum, perhaps even purchase some, and store all that stuff away for a rainy day and start to own that information, own that education that you can pass on. Also maps, that's a big one. Nobody has paper maps anymore, or at least very few people have paper maps anymore. Downloading road maps and terrain maps is super easy and it's free. There's nothing stopping you from doing that and taking even just screenshots of your local area, taking those images, putting them into a folder, putting them onto a flash drive or an SSD, protect that information and have it, and you can pull it up whenever you need it. Also music, download your favorite CDs, or purchase the CDs and make sure you have a laptop that can play it or an old school Walkman or something, or even a cassette player. That's important to have. Music is a huge deal and we all listen to music, like all different kinds. I know for me, I'm gonna load it up with My Chemical Romance, some Fall Out Boy, some Blink-182, Silverstein, All American Rejects, Third Eye Blind, especially the original album with the best song ever, God of Wine, which no one ever listened to. Linkin Park, especially the Reanimation album. Whitney Houston, Taylor Swift.
Brother,
Sarah McLachlan. You get the point. Collect your music, own your music. And if you have to pirate it, I'm not gonna stop you. At some point, you probably bought all the music anyway, get it back. Now let's talk about non-digital assets. That's actually my favorite one because like many of you, my wife likes to go antique shopping and going to thrift stores, and I am just sitting there looking at things, fantasizing about being in the woods and doing some weird things and slaughtering animals and using their skin as a hide and surviving out in the woods. But when you go there, and when I go there now, I go there with a different purpose. I'm looking for cheap literature, books, movies, DVDs, CDs, albums that are important to me, because I can pick those up at a fraction of the price of having to go out online and purchase those things. And those aren't easily transferable. In other words, if I were to move locations, I can't just pick up, you know, my library of books, but that's okay. That's not the point. The point is to start to own your own library of information, education, literature, maps, documents, field journals, medical journals, entertainment, movie, history, arts, music, you name it. Start to own those things. Even board games. As long as it comes with all the pieces, pick up board games. That's what people did. That's what we did before we had the internet. That's what we did whenever you were like me and you had an antenna on your TV and you could only get 3 channels and you'd have to turn the little dial to spin the antenna, which was high tech at the time. Yes, I'm older than I look. A lot of us love to romanticize the idea of being completely off grid and what it would be like if we didn't have modern technology anymore. But I can tell you this, if you go and you hang out in the woods for a week or 2, even if you bring enough food and water, after a while you start to look around and you're like, man, this is not it. There's a reason why people don't live this way anymore. And if they do live this way, they still have entertainment or arts or something to color up their life. That's something that we cannot forget, and I see glazed over all the time in prepper or survival talks and communities. Also, comic books is a really big one. That's what we called them whenever I was growing up. Now they're called graphic novels. Having some comic books is incredible and a great resource to have. And you can also download those in a digital way and throw them on a flash drive once again. And then also think about your own family's history, your photo albums. You don't want them all living on the cloud. Start to print your photos. Put them in a photo album, or at the very least, get a Polaroid. It's a great way to capture images immediately. We have 2 Polaroids, an authentic real one and then a reproduced one, which you can buy at any time. And granted, the cartridges, the actual photos, you have to store them in like dry conditions to make sure that they don't deteriorate over time, but it's still a great, valuable resource for when you're not living in a digital age anymore. And then of course, paper maps, atlases. So few people even own atlases anymore. You can get road maps for all 50 states for free. Ultimately, you have to ask yourself this question. If the internet died today, how would you re-educate or how would you educate your kids in a post-internet world? How would you continue your own learning? How would you continue your own culture and your beliefs and the things that you love when you can't just click a button and access them? This is the kind of mindset we have to have moving forward in this country, I'm convinced, and it's actually really easy, and things are cheap nowadays, especially this older tech. You can find it in thrift stores, antique stores, online, on eBay stores, at estate sales, and start to build up your own repository, your own library, your own information. Take back the power, and don't just rely on a system that is one click away. Thank you guys for sticking around. We hope this broadens your mindset. If you want to support us, we have a web store with all kinds of cool stuff, knives, slings, new merchandise. You can also support us by liking and subscribing and leaving a comment. The algorithm helps a lot, and YouTube is not a fan of us. Also, Patreon for $5 a month, you get early access to all of our videos and some behind the scenes as to how and why we do stuff, and a forecast as to what's coming up in the next couple of videos in the next couple of months. So thank you guys so much. We appreciate it. Start building out in your own library, owning your own information again, and we'll catch you next time.
There's somebody in the marketing department like, I got an idea.
Dude, yeah.